The most famous boss in F1 just bought a MotoGP team. Drive to Survive in F1 made Guenther Steiner arguably the most popular F1 boss. Everyone knows him, most people love him, and he built Haas from nothing. And after running it for 8 years, being let go in January 2024, he didn't actually own a share at all of that business. But since January 2026, he's the current CEO and co-owner of the KTM Tech 3 outfit in MotoGP. The deal was closed for about $50 million. But the massive comparison versus F1, when you think about Cadillac, they had to pay $450 million US just to be able to get anywhere near the F1 grid. So if it costs roughly 9 times more to get into F1 and they're arguably higher value teams, why would one of the smartest and most popular ex-F1 team bosses decide to move from 4 wheels to 2 wheels? He's a smart cookie, so let's find out why. I'm Tim from Along Trackside, and today we're going to look at 3 pieces of the puzzle. Who is Guenther Steiner, and why did he leave F1? Secondly, what did he buy? Was it just him? Who else was involved? There's also an F1 driver that's connected to the deal. And thirdly, what does he know that nobody else knows? He's seen it from the inside in F1. Steiner is the one that convinced Gene Haas to get into F1 in the first place. He laid out the plan, but he's always been an employee. His pitch was on a low-cost model, which was within the realm of the rules. How many parts can I buy from Ferrari so that I don't have to develop them myself? On the team's debut in 2016, they scored points in their very first race, which is virtually unheard of in F1. Liberty Media then took over F1 in 2017, started filming Drive to Survive the following year, and when it launched in 2019, he was a breakout star. It doesn't matter that they were the least funded team on the grid. He was one of the most outspoken. And if you haven't seen much of Drive to Survive, you may just know him as the guy that swears a lot. Not only funny, he's a shrewd operator, and he always wanted Gene to invest more into Haas, but there's only so much that he could do as an employee. He also wanted to become part owner in that organization. And unfortunately, as his contract came up in 2024, it wasn't renewed, and essentially he got a big fat no to both of his requests. After nearly 40 years of experience across a wide range of roles and being such a great team boss, he still hadn't scratched that ownership itch, which is what explains what he did next. In September 2025, it was announced that he would be part of a consortium purchasing Tech 3 in MotoGP. They've been around since 2001. They're originally founded by Hervé Poncharal. With 25 years of experience in the premier class of MotoGP, this is an excellent outfit for Guenther to be a part of. They currently have factory supporting from KTM, and they also have sponsorship from Red Bull, who is pushing them forward. One of the massive advantages that Guenther has seen is that Poncharal has decided to stay on and help with the transition. He's acting as a consultant, especially given he was the one-man owner for the last 25 years. And there's a lot of change happening this year. It's the last year before there's massive regulation changes next year. Steiner's already commented that he wanted to stay and watch before making big decisions. And there's going to be big rider change-ups. Both these riders, Bestia and Vinales, they're leaving at the end of this season. So we actually don't know who will be in that team next year. So what do the numbers look like? As we said, $50 million US was the purchase price. That consortium was led by Icon Capital and Bolt Ventures. So that's alongside David Blitzer. He has stakes in the 76ers, New Jersey Devils, and Crystal Palace in the Premier League. Main Street advisors were also involved in the transaction. But who else should be on this investor list but Pierre Gasly, which means that an active driver in the F1 series is a part owner in a MotoGP team. The value of a MotoGP team is vastly different from F1. Most of the F1 teams are around $3.4 billion in valuation, with the lowest value teams being $1.5 billion. It's a massive difference. So the Tech 3 team is worth roughly 1.5% of the average F1 team. Is this a mispriced asset that Guenther has seen? Or a MotoGP team's always going to be a fraction of the value? Well, Guenther might have an answer for that. And he's lived through a Liberty Media transition in his own sport. He was obviously running Haas when Liberty Media purchased the F1 conglomerate. He's seen the huge American boom in viewership and obviously experienced the cost caps that were introduced in the sport. This all contributed to those team values becoming significantly higher in such a short period of time. The average F1 team value has increased by 89% since 2023 alone, with Haas obviously being well worth north of $1 billion, and with Liberty Media completing the takeover of MotoGP in July 2025, they completed that transaction for 4.5 billion euros. So I think what we're going to see is the value of that entire sport increase. They use the same playbook from F1 in MotoGP. He's taking a gamble based on information that he already knows because he's experienced it before. In his own words, in MotoGP, everything depends much more on the rider than in F1, fighting man to man, and that an independent team can win the championship. He was pointing directly at Jorge Martin's 2024 win on the satellite Pramac Ducati bike. That's something unthinkable in F1. But Steiner is patient and he sees the opportunity available to him as now a co-owner of Tech3. He's already said that he knows it'll take 3 to 5 years to put everything into place. And coming from being one of the loudest men in F1, especially through Drive to Survive, he's making a quite long bet on MotoGP. And it's the same bet we're making here at Along Trackside. So Guenther's making a decision to own something in 2 wheels that he couldn't in 4 wheels via F1. And in MotoGP, he sees a huge opportunity with Liberty Media coming in, potentially making the exact same changes as they did in F1 and growing the value of the sport exponentially. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you had $50 million US to buy a team, would you do it in MotoGP? And who do you think is next from F1 to jump across the paddock to MotoGP? As always, we appreciate a like and a subscribe. Every single one counts, and we'll see you in the next video.